I'm Brandy Yates for HOMTV, and we're here with Chris Buck, the Economic Development Director for Meridian Township. We're outside of Ruby Tuesdays at the Meridian Mall to talk about the recent closing. Chris, tell me what you know.
Well, what I know is I got information this morning that told us there was a sign on the door and the business is closed down. I'm not sure if it happened last night or this morning, but we were alerted to the fact that they had shuttered their doors. Came over and saw the sign to confirm that that is the case. I jumped on the horn with our local mall management team who serve in our community and I've gotten to know well over the last couple of years. And they confirmed that they actually found out the same way we did. So there was no prior communication as to their intentions. They do have an active lease that they're going to be held accountable for. Don't have details as to how long that was expected to run, but their closing came as a shock to the local management here as well. They did share with me that because there's so many nationally known brands in the mall that they have at their corporate headquarters for CBL Properties, who operates our mall here in Meridian Township, that they have account executive teams that have the liaison relationships with the corporate brands, and their team is working to communicate directly with the corporate entity of Ruby Tuesdays. So we're waiting to hear back from them.
What has the response been from residents?
Well, there's been a lot of chatter. It's a 50-50 thing. Half of the people are, it's such a shame to see another restaurant leave Meridian Township, and why is this happening? And then there was a lot of comments talking about, I didn't go there much anyway, allegations of service concerns and things of that nature. So it's really been a split mix. At the root of it, I think people are talking about, again, I don't want to judge anyone's brand, but the concept of the sit-down, cookie-cutter, national chain restaurant may be an older model. And people really are clamoring. I guess the real answer to your question is that people are clamoring for more locally owned, Michigan-owned, locally owned and operated restaurant experiences, as opposed to more of a sterile environment that's clearly prefabricated.
That's one of the reasons that Meridian Township brought you on board. What kind of things are you doing to bring these businesses to the township?
Well, I think the most important thing is to listen to our residents and really hear what they believe they're going to support. The early blush is that they want to have locally owned and operated restaurants as opposed to nationally known chains. But it's a mixed bag. Restaurants do fail, and unfortunately it's hard to figure out what causes that. Olive Garden is the most prolific Olive Garden I hear in the Midwest, and it's on the same property as the closed Ruby Tuesdays. I hear Dusty's does well, but Tannen feels like they need to move from the region. Leo's Lodge closed unexpectedly, but Old Chicago seems to thrive. So at some point, you're going to just have to accept the fact that restaurants succeed and fail based on a variety of metrics, and I just want to do what I can to help bring the most sustainable, appreciated restaurants we can get based on community feedback.
And from professional, just the trend that we're seeing, that It was the retail, now it's the restaurants. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think restaurants, there's a lot of farm to table. There's a lot of vegetarian and vegan demands. There's a lot of freshness and like the microbreweries and the handcrafted cocktails. And then they have coffee, has gone from the pot of coffee at the diner to the Starbucks and Bigby. And now you've got the crafted bean and the Blue Owl coffee and Strange Matter that are taking it to a whole nother level. I think restaurants are going through a similar metamorphosis where people want, just something that's new and hip and fresh. And I think it's always going to be a curve that things are going to evolve, and Meridian deserves those types of places. I think we've got the client base that'll spend on that, and so my hope is that this is maybe a little bit of out with the old and in with the new.
Okay, and I know you're working on the redevelopment ready community, certification to help increase businesses. Can you tell me a little bit about that process and where we are?
Absolutely. Redevelopment ready communities is a certification that a municipality can earn from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the MEDC. It's basically a series of best practices that if you submit the way you do your development processes to them and you meet their 41 best practices, we become certified. And what that does is that allows for development projects to come into town, and if there's any grants or loan opportunities, things of that nature that maybe can help bridge the gap to invite these people to our community. Right now the township's on its own. We got to do whatever we can, that we have our own horsepower to generate. Being a redevelopment ready certified community allows us to open up state coffers. So there are statewide grants that the MEDC offers that our developers can apply to.
Okay, and many residents, obviously, you've heard some feedback about why are businesses leaving, why are they closing. Let's talk about the positive note of the new businesses coming and maybe some opportunities that opens up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we try to bang the drum on opening businesses as much as we unfortunately have to report on closing businesses. When you have a commerce, a 42,000 person, resident community, you're going to have transitions and cycling. And we've had a lot of great successes. I mean, obviously people know about Chick-fil-A, Costco's right on a cusp. It used to be Meridian Township properties right between us and East Lansing. Whole Foods has come in here, but a lot of smaller retail places and office spaces have opened up new businesses in town. So, you can go on the Meridian Township website and kind of take a look at some of those listings and ribbon cuttings that we've had lately. And I would just say, stay optimistic, stay tuned, try to talk more about what you do want instead of complaining about what we don't have. Those are just general messages I have for myself and my kids about life, but I would love for everyone to hear that message too and share the things that you do want instead of discouragement about the things you're upset about.
Is there any kind of sneak preview, anything that you can tell us that's coming around the corner?
Well, sure, I guess. Launch Trampoline Park has been announced. There was a little bit of a delay in the construction transition between the mall, kind of making the space ready, and the launch construction team starting their process. So they're delayed a little bit, and they're going to hopefully open between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Downtown Okemos, we had a meeting I just left a couple hours ago talking about the next steps on making the whole revitalization of downtown Okemos a possibility that gathers momentum. Hazlitt Village Square, staff has seen a couple of very small sneak peeks. They're a little bit more covert in their processes, but I suspect that sooner than later we may hear of a transformational redevelopment at Hazlitt Village Square. I know that the old 40-acre movie theater up on Saginaw Highway, the drive-in movie theater, has been vacant for so long, has been officially rezoned, and last night's planning commission meeting saw a preliminary site plan that showed a development there that could be huge. There's all kinds of stuff coming, and I just encourage everyone to stay optimistic and keep telling us what they want to see happen, and I'll do everything I can to create the vibrancy that this community deserves.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate all those updates.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.